Hey guys, it's Pierre again. So I just couldn't wait. Notice, I'm still with the same shirt. I just had to go right on and hit you with the next one. I just couldn't wait because when you're talking about a kingdom, what exactly does that mean to you? To those with a Western mindset, right? Those of us who grew up in the Western hemisphere and even some in the Eastern hemisphere, if we are not used to living under a king, right, we don't necessarily understand what a kingdom is. A kingdom basically is represented by a king and his domain, the land that he owns. And by the way, not only does he own the land, but even the subjects in that land belong to him. So the closest thing you'll see in a kingdom when you go back to the Old Testament is where the famine happened in Egypt, and literally the people started coming to Pharaoh to get grain, right? Because this was an agrarian society. They needed grain to sow and also to make bread and eat, right? So literally we get to a point where there's nothing left in the land. And Joseph makes a pact and he told the king, let us own the people, literally, right? He's like, if they come, we will own them and they will still have to bring 20% of whatever their yield, their harvest, 20% of their harvest, right? Back to the kingdom. So this is the first time you see a king owning the people, or a description of it pretty much. Now, there have been others in the scripture, but this one is pretty straightforward. And I challenge you to go and read it for yourself. And I'll put the scripture right down here to show you the wisdom of Joseph, right? And this is in the book of Genesis. But now, as we're talking about a kingdom, in the last episode, I talked to you about Daniel seeing this new kingdom coming. But Isaiah also prophesied it. So we need to speak about these prophecies. We need to go a little deeper and understand this kingdom, who exactly was going to be the head of that kingdom, right? And Isaiah speaks about unto us a son is born, right? A child is given. The government shall be on his shoulders, right? So this child, this son, he comes up already with kingdom authority. He is the heir of all things, right? But he's coming up and he's already the head of that kingdom. The government rests on his shoulders, meaning he has the responsibility of that kingdom. He's the head. And we know that Jesus Christ is the head of the body, right? So that kingdom obviously includes the church because Jesus is the head, right? And he himself, when he left the earth, he talked about the government that he left behind. But we know even in heaven, there are 24 elders. Those 24 elders, 12 of them from the tribe of Israel, and the other 12 are apostles of Jesus in the earth. So including the apostle Paul, by the way, of those 12, since we know that Judas, his Iscariot, ultimately killed himself, right? Because he couldn't live with the remorse of having betrayed his Lord. But here's the thing, on earth as in heaven, heaven is the kingdom. That's why Jesus came and brought a kingdom to us. But unless we understand what a kingdom means, as believers, we're going to keep walking without understanding what truly has been given us. The rights, the laws, the promises, all these things that we see in the word. When we start understanding the legal authority that we have right here on earth, as a follower of Jesus, as a disciple of Christ himself, then your mind will start being transformed. And I thought, what better way to talk about time to transform your mind than to expose you to the principles of this kingdom. So when we look at the book of Mark, the shortest of the Gospels, in the very first chapter, we see Jesus already announcing that kingdom. And he's saying, this is why I came, to announce this kingdom. And what exactly is this kingdom going to do, right? He's starting to establish something. When we look in the book of Luke, ask him, where is the kingdom? And he says, the kingdom is invisible. It's inside of you. So now this kingdom that he's bringing is pretty much invisible, but yet this kingdom has outlived him, right? On the earth, that is, because he's still king in heaven and is the king of kings, right? Proof of a kingdom. Otherwise, Why would he be king and king of kings? So that means we also have authority as kings. But we have to mature and become those kings and understand what exactly has been given us. And I ask you, do you understand everything that Jesus died for to pay for you so that you could become a king? And this king word is genderless, in that whether you're a man or a woman, you are a king in his kingdom, right? So now the point here is we need to discover that kingdom. We need to understand that kingdom, and we need to understand the benefits of being a king in that kingdom. Why is that important to us? Because if we don't understand what that kingdom brings to us, we will miss the point completely, and we will have, as we see in with many, a wrong relationship with the Lord. And a wrong relationship simply means it's not based on the right understanding. It's not based on the right foundation. And so I challenge you, as we're going through this series, to start picking up on these scriptures that I'm giving you and start doing your own homework and start reading them for yourself and saying, whoa, there's more to this than meet the eyes, right? And so I want you to clearly see that Jesus came and he preached the kingdom. That's the first thing he preached. He did not preach, look, I'm from a virgin. He didn't preach anything else. Now, of course, when you go back to the book of Matthew, understand into Matthew chapter 4, he's brought into where? The wilderness by none else but the Spirit of the Lord. Drove him into the wilderness. Why? This is his first test that he has to pass. Why? Because Adam did not pass the test in the garden. So now he has to be driven in the wilderness and pass the first test. And that first test is a test of identity. If you're the Son of God, why don't you do this? Right? And he has to identify himself as a king. And notice, one of the temptations that Satan comes to him with is the temptation of, well, if you are a king, look at this. There was the bread offer, turn the rocks in bread. And of course, he gave him the other temptation, throw yourself from here, right? From this high place. And God will give his angels charge over you and they will keep you. You won't fall. You won't hurt yourself. But then there's the other temptation. Satan told him, all these kingdoms of the earth have been given into my hand. When? In the garden, when Adam and his wife fell, right? They handed over their authority and Satan took it. And so Satan, for one moment here, was telling the truth, although he's not the father of truth because he's the father of lies, right? But he told Jesus, all these kingdoms, if you bow down and worship me, I will give them to you. We know now that statement is false. He's telling a lie now. But the reality, the fact is, those kingdoms, he had the authority. And this is why Jesus now had to come and go get the keys back from the devil. Because all their lives, men were afraid of death, right? And this is why Paul can come and say, death, where is your sting? But let's come back to this kingdom. Jesus preached this kingdom. And we see him demonstrating that kingdom. We see him teaching the kingdom principles to his disciples. And in tomorrow's session, we're going to talk about one of the basic laws of the kingdom that he started teaching his disciples. And this is really going to, rock your world, because for me, this is something that I've been studying for a while. Really, it has caused me to see things from a completely different standpoint. And so, yeah, you may have heard some of this before, but trust me, what you're going to see in this is something that you need to walk around always on your mind, because you are a king. If you are a believer, you are a king. And of course, the maturity you're called to as a king is to grow first as a disciple. Not just a convert, you got to become a disciple. And that calls you to what? Learn your constitution. And what did Jesus say? If you continue in my word, then you will indeed be my disciple. It's not enough to believe. Demons believe. You've got to turn yourself to being his disciple. And in that process, you will start learning about the kingdom. So I hope in the next few episodes, you're going to stick around with me, because I'm going to put them out daily as always on this 100-day challenge. And I'm going to keep doing my research. Of course, there's so much more that we're going to uncover together in these sessions. So I invite you, share it with your friends, let them know, hey, this is something maybe you've never heard about before, even though the teaching has been around. And this is going to change your mind. It's going to revolutionize the way you see the Bible, and more importantly, the way you see your own life. And suddenly your perspective, the new perspective you're going to have, is going to help you to win, to have good success, just like we saw with Joshua, who was able to overtake 33 kingdoms in his time, right? And take territory. But the most important thing we're going to come to is the need to occupy until he comes. So this is Pierre Laguerre. Go ahead, hit that bell, of course, like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Enjoy.